That's going to make the manifestation process much more difficult.
This is The Deep Dive with Adam Roa.
What's up, Deep Divers? Thank you very much for joining me for another episode of The Deep Dive. My name is Adam Roa. We are doing a musing today. That means that it's just you and me. I'm going to take you into something that has been a powerful realization that I've had over the last couple of weeks, because at the time of me recording this, I am in Montreal. I've been out here to do some business negotiations, and while having these meetings and stuff, I'm staying here, and I don't really have much of a community in Montreal. So I've spent a lot of time alone, and because it's so cold and snowy, I have spent a lot of that alone time in literally what you see right now if you're watching the YouTube video here in my Airbnb. And I have been diving into my music. And when I say my music, I mean studying other musicians. I mean writing and watching YouTube tutorials on like rules of songwriting, reading books, like just really preparing myself for what I think is the path that I am on and that I desire, which is to start releasing music that impacts people in a really powerful way. And so before I dive into how that ties into today's topic, which is how to speed up your manifestations, I want to let you know, if you haven't heard any of my music, I would encourage you to check it out. I have a Spotify artist playlist, so you could just type in my name. Some of you may actually be listening to this on Spotify already, but I do have a single that is out on Spotify that you can listen to. I have it available for purchase if you want it on, iTunes and all the places. It's also out on SoundCloud, and I am going to be releasing probably like a song a month coming up here, and it's like mainstream ready, exciting music that covers things like my breakup and covers things like that feeling you get when you are doing everything that you possibly can, but it doesn't seem like it's working, like that feeling. A lot of these topics, taking even what I do in these musings and just turning it into a song that elicits emotion. And so if you haven't checked it out, head over to Spotify, type in my name. And if you're wanting to dive deeper, I have an album of spoken word poetry that has been put to music and has this whole storytelling element to it. It's an immersive experience, and you can go to adamroa.com and get that album. It's called Permission. And that has been my main focus, honestly, has been this music that I feel in me that's coming alive. And I'm getting a lot of powerful reflections from people who are hearing the early stages of this music and are like, whoa, this is so good. And that creates a feedback loop. So I get even more excited, and it's motivation. And because this is a new realm for me, songwriting and finding melody and using my voice in this way, there's been a lot of frustration. There's been a lot of frustration about, well, how do I write these songs? Like, where do I take this song from here? How do I, find the melody? How do I find the beat? Like, what do I even, like, do I just force myself to write? All of these questions as is a normal thing when we step into something that we don't really have the experience in. It's outside our comfort zone, and therefore discomfort, right? Frustration, maybe, just how that appears in our system, that will arise as we figure it out, right? Maybe you even remember back in elementary school, like learning a new subject, and like every time you step into the next chapter of math, for example, from geometry to trigonometry or a calculus or whatever it might be, and there's that initial learning curve. There's these initial moments of, what the hell is this? I feel like I'm starting over. And that is a normal response, because our egos and our minds and our bodies and everything are really doing their best to keep us in our comfort zone, because our comfort zone is safe. Our comfort zone is just that. It is comfortable. And so what has been interesting for me to notice is despite how much time I've spent creating art, creating poetry, performing on stages, anytime I step into a new arena, producing music, writing music, whatever, I'm encountering some level of discomfort. And if I have a relationship with discomfort where I want to avoid it, right? Beyond just the biological, this is uncomfortable, but like the mental going, I don't want this. Now I have resistance to the actual process, right? You will need to get outside of your comfort zone to explore areas of yourself or different skills or things that you haven't done before. And so if your relationship to being outside the comfort zone is one of aversion, there's a resistance to the entire process that is coming up. And that's really important to notice, because if you have resistance to the process, then you have resistance to the timeline that you've set as a goal. Because for me, I have a goal of releasing music, a lot of music in the future. And so if that's my goal, if that's the timeline that I see for my life, and I have a resistance to the process, then I have a resistance to the timeline. And that's going to make the manifestation process much more difficult. Because for those of you who aren't familiar, just a quick rundown, the law of magnetism, manifestation, the law of attraction, is to be a match to that vision. Whatever it is you want to manifest, being a match to it. So let me take you through this one with the music. The vision I have is creating music that millions of people fall in love with and listen to and share. And for me to be that person in that vision where I have that music going out to the world, I'm performing it, etc. If I have that vision for myself, in that actualization, I love the creation process. I love writing songs. I love finding melodies. I love performing. That's a part of that timeline. And so even though in that timeline down the road, I'll have way more experience of it, it's still the process of writing and creating the music, which I'm in right now. It just looks different because I have less experience. And if I'm in resistance to that process, if I'm in resistance to it, I'm literally in resistance to the timeline that I say that I want. And so how can I speed that up? How can I call that in faster and faster? I align myself with who I desire to be when that's actualized. That means I get to find the love for the process. I get to feel the frustration and transmute it into excitement and enjoyment. I get to see the parts of me that are not yet masterful at songwriting as being the opportunity to develop as an artist and be excited about that, because I'm always going to be developing as an artist. And when I think about, okay, well, what would if I have that vision of performing and releasing successful records that so millions of people listen to, okay, if that's my vision, well then where right now am I feeling that? What parts of me are feeling that now and what parts of me aren't? And how can I prepare myself for the opportunities that will arise along the way? If I'm a match to it, if I'm excited, then I'm going to dive in even deeper to this process. I'm going to get better even faster. And that means that the universe can provide me with the opportunities, the little milestones on the path, faster than it could before. For example, if one of the milestones that is meant for me on this particular timeline, if one of those milestones is a collaboration with a really epic producer like a Rick Rubin, who I would love to work with. If the universe says, you know what, you're going to work with Rick Rubin, That is going to happen. The two of you will collaborate. That's a part of this particular path. Well, then, if Rick Rubin were to come into my life at a stage of my artistic development where I'm not ready to meet him at the level that he would want to see to be excited to work with me, then him coming into my life at that moment would be a disservice to that timeline. Because then his impression of me is, oh, he's this beginning artist, cool, etc. And maybe it's a missed opportunity. It doesn't go where it could have gone had I met him at a stage where I have music, I have talent, I have developed in a way that impresses him, where he sees something and goes, I want to work with this person. And so what is my role right now? My role is becoming a match to that far vision that I have. It's not even that far, but you get what I'm saying. Like that vision in the future, becoming a match to being that person and trusting that the universe is going to put the opportunities to me. It's going to give me these opportunities, the right collaborations, the right meetings of the right people, the right beats to write to. All of those things will come to me in divine timing. And if I focus on doing everything I can to becoming that future version of myself, those opportunities will show up quicker. Because the universe knows, don't put Rick Rubin into my life until it's at a stage where he would want to work with me because I'm showing him something that gets him excited. And if I, write a little bit each day and, take it slow and et cetera, maybe it's 4 years from now. But I don't work that way. I understand that I can speed up this whole process, this manifestation process, if I pour my energy into becoming this person. So I'm spending hours of every single day becoming a better musician. Whether that's playing guitar, whether that's making a beat on my computer, whether that's songwriting, whether that's studying other songwriters and musicians, whatever it may look like, I'm pouring my energy into it because I know I'm speeding up my own growth and my own development, which means that those opportunities on that path will show up sooner. And so I can actually release the attachment of when it needs to happen. Because instead, I'm simply trusting that it will when the time is right, because I'm doing exactly what is mine to do. And so for you, on your journey, whatever it looks like, whatever that vision is you have for your life, I want you to take some time to think about, who do you need to be? When that reality is actualized for yourself, who are you? What are the skills that you have? What is the emotion that you have around those skills and that process and that business and whatever you're looking forward to? What does that feel like? And what would it take to get you to feel that way? You want to open up your own restaurant? Amazing. If someone came to you right now and said, here's $3 million to open up your own restaurant, are you prepared to do that? If you were to meet a famous chef who's looking for someone to come and support them with their restaurant, do you feel like you're the person that would impress that chef, that person would see something in you and go, yep, you're ready for this? Because if the answer is no, that's where your work is. Become that person. Pour your energy into it. The more energy you pour into it, the universe has to coalesce itself around you. That's the way that this whole game works. And so if you want to speed up your manifestations, pour your energy into becoming a match to that person that you are in that dream, in that vision, whatever that looks like, whatever you need to do. And the more energy you can put into it in all the various ways, the faster it will show up. So enjoy the process. Enjoy the knowingness that it is all happening. It's already done. It's simply a matter of when it comes into your life. And that is the result of when you are the match. Thank you so much for listening to this. If this was helpful, please leave a review on iTunes, subscribe on YouTube or iTunes or Spotify, and check out the music that I have up on Spotify. I want to remind you that always, in all ways, you are seen, you are heard, and you are loved.